Hello, guys. My name is Josue Ramon with Excellence Premier Real Estate, and today we're going to go over the buyer agreement. By now, you should know that starting August 17, we have to implement these new changes, these new forms. And if you're part of Excellence Premier Real Estate, you have access to a Sky Slope. If not, just call management, and you'll be able to have an account. So the first step, guys, once you go into your SkySlope account, go to Forms and then start Buyer Agreement. And then it's going to take you to the Buyer Representation and Broker Compensation Agreement, or BRBC. The next step is, let me see if I can make it bigger for you guys to be able to see. So let's see. All right. Much better. So the first form is the AD, which is disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship. That one, just the buyer needs to sign. Your information should be here already if you have the account, which is Excellence Premier Real Estate, or your broker firm, the broker's license number, your license number, and your name. The next form is the BRBC. So make sure you place the date prepare, which is today's the 15th. Then let's say your buyer, his name is Juan and last name Lopez. Save. And the broker is Excellence Premier Real Estate. Now, this is really important, guys. This is the terms of representation. So the section 8 is the when the agreement is going to start. So let's say I'm meeting with Juan Lopez at this moment. He's about to sign the agreement, so I'm going to place today's date. And the max that you can have the agreement for is 3 months, not to exceed 3 months. So we're gonna count 3 months. So 1, 2, 3. So it's gonna be until November 15. Also, guys, automatically by default, the agreement shows the type of representation non-exclusive. I highly recommend to do exclusive. Why? Because you want that commitment from the buyer. So in our office, it's going to be only exclusive. Also, Part B shows property to be acquired. In this case, what type of property is the buyer looking for? If it's a single family residence, just leave it alone. Or if it's multi-unit, you click here. Or is it vacant land or commercial, and so on. So if it's a single family residence, just leave it blank. Location, I highly recommend to, let's say if they're buying in Whittier, Downey, Southgate, I will just make sure to cover the county, Los Angeles County, for instance. Why? Because if you've been really specific, let's say you place the city of Downey and then they end up buying in Bellflower, then your agreement is not basically valid in case they buy, in another city. So I highly recommend you, if you have a buyer, let's say in my team, most buyers they end up buying in San Bernardino, Riverside. So include also San Bernardino and Riverside County. Those three counties. And also it has to make sense because we're not gonna be like in covering Sacramento County. So all these three counties are really near our area. So the next step is, if you want additional buyer preferences, there's a new form called BIPP, which is gonna basically It's like a questionnaire for the buyer, like what they're looking for, how many bedrooms, how many bath. Is more specific. In my recommendation is to leave it blank. um, and this is where the most important, one of the most important parts is that it shows the buyer that the broker compensation, notice the amount of or rate of the real estate commission is not fixed by law. They are set by each broker individually and may be negotiable between buyer and broker. So commission or compensation is negotiable. Our team is going to charge 3%. And then we can always, let's say the seller is only helping with 2% or 2.5%, then we can always, adjust and reduce our commission. So it's better to go at 3% than starting really low, and then we cannot go up, basically. So basically, we have to place 3% here, or if your brokerage or company or team is okay of getting paid 2% or 2.5%, it's up to you guys. So in our case, we're gonna go 3%. Now, payments received by broker from seller. So basically, is telling them that if broker receives compensation from seller or other for broker's representation of buyer, the amount shall be credited against buyer obligation to pay broker. So let's say we we agree on 3% from the buyer that he's going to be paying. If we receive, let's say, 2.5% from the seller, then the buyer is liable for the other half percent, or we can always, reduce it and not charge the buyer. So any help, any other commission from other places is going to be applied to this commission or compensation. Section E3, continued right to payment for broker involved properties. The continuation period shall be, I highly recommend 90 days, which means that, let's say the agreement expire, or the buyer cancel or you cancel. Let's say you show a property, and you even send an offer. The buyer cannot go back to that property within those 90 days and open escrow. If they open escrow, then you deserve, to get paid, to get compensated. Okay. Letter F, cancellation rights and notice, non-exclusive. As you can see, cancellation effective upon receipt. Or you can place 5 days, but since we're going to be doing exclusive, cancellation effective 30 days after receipt. Buyer financial personal information, time to deliver buyer personal financial information within 5 days. So the buyer, once we get together, have the consultation, they have 5 days to turn in all the documents to get pre-approved. Then this part, other financial considerations. Buyer does not have the sufficient funds to pay the broker. Buyer intends to purchase with the following loan product, which does not allow buyer to pay compensation to broker. I will leave it blank. And guys, that's it basically. So easy to do all this. I highly recommend you to read this. It basically explain, like, for instance, the compensation more in detail. So it's more detail. So I highly recommend you to read it. And all you have to do now, and this is really important, guys, if like in our team we're gonna do just exclusive, make sure that the buyer initials this part, or the buyers, in case there's two. And also make sure it shows the 3% here in this part. Why? Because once we send offers, and if we're negotiating our commission with the seller is gonna request this last page 505 to be turned in along with the the purchase agreement, and also the SPBB. So, guys, make sure you complete this part. This is really important because it's a confirmation of compensation. Okay, if it's an entity, well, you guys have to place the entity and also who's the authorized signer, the name and the signature. Also, in this case, it's only Juan Lopez, so he's gonna sign here and date. And make sure you sign also. And the buyer's investigation advisory, so basically explains the investigation that the buyer can do, such as home inspection, the termite, etc. The next form is the broker compensation advisory. So basically, in most cases, the buyers are going to be like, well, how do I know if you're going to be able to get, you know, the commission from the seller? So basically, in this paragraph says seller pays the compensation. Buyer negotiates for the seller to compensate buyer's broker. So in basically, you can negotiate, and the seller can still pay the buyer's commission. Also, possible representation of more than one buyer. That's another disclosure that is in this bundle. The California Consumer Privacy Act advisory. And that's it, guys. The next step is to prepare and send for signatures. Easy, guys. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me. And remember, do not fear. Excellence Premier is here.